Hello, how you doing? I'm going to talk to you today about the cheap property update. Brunswick, Georgia, Macon, Georgia, and Arkansas. Arkansas has abandoned towns. So if you are broken homeless or you're on a very low income, $700 a month in social SSI, I advise you to go to Arkansas if you're close to Arkansas. Buy some of those abandoned properties, abandoned towns. If you have some money to work with, buy a whole abandoned town in Arkansas because the buildings are already there. Post office is already there. The land is already there. You can just build you a yurt or whatever you want to build on the property. Brunswick, Georgia, and Macon, Georgia. They also have a whole lot of abandoned properties. I urge you to go there. See, a lot of people just go, let me find the projects. The projects, you may not want to always live in the projects. You can just buy some of those abandoned properties in Macon, Georgia or Brunswick, Georgia. Like I said, all these abandoned properties, you most likely will have to rehabilitate them. And what you do, you do not go to social services. You go to the city offices. The city offices will tell you what you need to do to buy these properties. For sure, you're going to have to pay the back taxes. But every county has a different set of rules. So you go there, they will tell you the rules to buy these properties. And Georgia, and of course, there's always abandoned properties in Mississippi. And Georgia and Mississippi, they tend to have very fertile land. So I'm sure there's enough room for you to have a garden, whatever. Now, if you are in Hollywood and you're living out of a tent, what do you expect to happen? What are you doing in Hollywood if you're so poor that you have to live on a tent on the street of Hollywood? If you do not have $10 million in the bank, you cannot handle Hollywood. You cannot live in Hollywood. And I don't know why you don't understand that. If you do not have $10 million a day, if you do not have $10 million in your bank account, then you cannot afford Hollywood. If you don't have $5 million, you cannot afford LA either. How are you going to afford $2,500 a month for rent? So that's why you're living in a tent. Why in the world, if you live in a tent or you living out of your car, why are you living in Santa Monica when you know you can't afford it? The government's not going to pay for your apartment like they're paying for the illegals. The government pays for the illegals' apartments, but you're not an illegal. The government's not going to do anything if you're an American citizen, but they pay for the illegals. They're not going to pay nothing for an American citizen. So you better go somewhere and buy some land. What I don't understand is why people go from Skid Row to Skid Row. Why do you go from Skid Row in Indiana, Detroit to Skid Row in Los Angeles? You're not helping yourself. You go from Skid Row to Skid Row. And that's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous strategy. You're going to have to find another strategy because that strategy is not working. Every town has a Skid Row. They even had Skid Row when I was growing up. You would see a cluster of black men just sitting on the corner doing nothing. And then you would go to another area, you see a cluster of white men sitting on the corner doing nothing. And that is not going to work in Appalachia. That's definitely not going to work in Appalachia. Because if you don't work on a coal mine or railroad, you're going to starve in Appalachia. Okay. So I don't know why but I think that every town has their Skid Row. And those black men and white men should know if you don't work in Appalachia, you're just not going to make it. You just aren't. Okay. So, I would see that going to school. I see a cluster of black men just sitting on the corner doing nothing every day, all day. You go to another part of town, be a cluster of white men doing nothing every day, all day. And that's just not going to work. So those are the two property updates I'm telling you about. Brunswick, Georgia, Macon, Georgia, anywhere in Mississippi and Arkansas. And like I said, if you have some money to work with, if you got about $100K or $200K to work with, you know what? You can buy the projects. You can buy a whole project in North Carolina, South Carolina. You can buy a project in Arkansas or even Oklahoma, but you have to do your research. I recommend you do your research, a lot of it on the internet. I do 95% of my research on the internet. I don't spend all this money going here, going there to states I don't even know anything about. I do all my research, 95% of my research on the internet. And you can probably just buy your property right off the internet, to tell the truth. But look, I'm talking to broken homeless people. Cheap property update, Georgia, Brunswick, Georgia, Macon, Georgia, and Arkansas. Best wishes. Have a nice day. Bye.